Good afternoon, everybody. We're here to address a very serious matter. The NHL has made its ruling on Austin Watson's case last night. He was suspended the entire preseason and 27 regular season games, but he will be able to practice with our team. He'll be able to utilize all of our team resources, and he will not take up a roster spot. The league has made its decision, and we're supportive of that decision. Our focus is on Austin as a person and getting him to where he wants and needs to be as a partner and as a father, as well as in the community, before he can start focusing on hockey again. We, as the Predators here, we do not take this matter lightly, but from this day forward, our focus is on the 18-19 season with the players that we have on our roster. As an organization, we're working towards putting this incident behind us and turning our focus to our efforts to win the Stanley Cup this year. Our leadership group, with Roman as our captain, has been formed been talked to Austin and Jen about the situation. I don't think there's so many layers to this situation. I don't think anybody knows or should know all the things that have taken place, but Roman and leadership wanted to say something in support and unity of Austin and Jen and their baby. As you'll see here, all of our players are in the room here to show their support. Roman is going to speak on behalf of all the players and what they want to say in this situation, with the one stipulation that this is the only time that the players want to talk about this, as they want to move forward and focus on the 18-19 season. So Roman, you're going to take the remarks.
As a team, we do not condone domestic violence, and we'll continue as a team to fully support the men and to end violence against women and make this city the safest place for women. And we're also respect the league's ruling on that matter. And we've had a lot of talks with Austin as a team and with Jen also, and we want to support them and their baby Olivia as much as we can.
And I just want to say thanks for being here, and also thanks for your patience this summer. And it's not like us to be so silent as we were. For the past 2.5 months, we were really silent, and we did so out of respect to the league, the investigation, but also to Jen and Austin, let the whole process play out. Now that the investigation's over, the ruling came out obviously last night, we are here to talk a little bit more about it, though we will stay away from some of the details that we learned throughout the investigation. But make no mistake about it, we're facing this head on, and we're not hiding from it. And even though it sounds like I'm contradicting myself, we're supporting the league's decision, Austin, Jen, and we're continuing our fight with the men against violence against women. It's wrong, we know it, we stand for it, and we have for a long period of time over the past 5 or 6 years. I can talk a little bit about this past summer, starting with June 16th. We worked with the league leading up into what became the investigation, and countless meetings with Jen and Austin throughout the whole process, and know what we know through the investigation, what we learned through it, and in those meetings, we really do stand behind the ruling, the suspension, but most importantly, we stand with Jen and Austin as they take the steps forward on this. For us, a lot of people make a big deal out of the games. It's 27 games, but we said all along, whether it be alone or with other people around the league, whether it was 4 games or 400 games, the number of games never meant anything to us. It really was, once it was done, how do we take the information that we learned and really provide the best environment for Austin and Jen to move forward. Fortunately, there are a lot of programs available from the NHL, the NHLPA, and our own team and the resources to really help them get on the right footing. So for us, again, we stand against violence on women. We can't say that enough. I think we were criticized this summer for not saying it, but I really do appreciate your patience in what we weren't saying. And now you'll have the opportunity to talk a little bit more with David and I. But it's something that we will move forward from, and there's no doubt that we're going to be a better team for it. And our evolution with the men is just going to continue. It's going to get stronger. I spoke at the men breakfast this morning and talked about bad timing when that was scheduled and coming on the heels of the suspension. I knew we'd be asked a few questions, but the biggest question I was asked was, how can you have this guy on your team when you allegedly stand against violence on women? For us, it's a pretty simple answer. It really is. The two are not at odds with each other. But whenever something like this hits a little closer to home, you have to look at it in 2 ways. You have a choice. walk away from the person or walk away from the issue. That's how everyone looks at it. You can't have it both, and we don't see it that way. We see engaging with Austin and Jen deeper, and most importantly, staying with our commitment with the men, because there's no greater cause for us to stand behind and no greater crisis facing our community than what's going on with violence on women. So that's where our commitment stands. So again, I just want to say thank you for the patience this summer. We do appreciate it.
Joe, for both of you, well, first of all, technically, David, I just want to make sure you could have bought out Austin's contract this summer and during a certain window, and was that ever discussed, seriously considered?
Just checking. Yeah, technically, I guess we could have, no, it was never considered. I mean, what Sean just said earlier, I mean, again, a couple ways you always handle situations. I mean, this is family, and things happen with all of our families that aren't exactly perfect. I'm really hoping deep down that in a lot of ways that we as the Predators, as an organization in Austin, as family, are going to come out of this in a much better place somewhere down the road. So I really, our thoughts were only to treat this as family, and we've worked a lot with and talked a lot with Austin and Jen in the summer, and we'll continue to do that. The players are now all back here. They're all up to date as much as possible in the situation, and again, the unity, Roman wanted to speak here, and the players wanting to be here just shows how much they think of Austin and how they want to work to put this behind us.
And just adding to that a little bit, Joe, we didn't think about hockey. We didn't think about the hockey player. We were thinking about the people involved. We were thinking about the investigation. We wanted to give that, the ability to run its full length without interfering with it. And really, the only conversations we had were about the people involved.
Sean, what extra steps will the organization take, or extra resources will the organization provide, I guess, in conjunction with the Amend Together program, to make sure that something like this does not happen to another player, any member of the organization again?
Well, the goal of Amend, we founded Amend with the YWCA 5, 6, 7 years ago, whatever it may have been, before it had a name. And the goal of that is an aggressive goal, but it's the only one worth pursuing, and that's ending violence on women, period. We rank 4th worst in the country for every bad stat when it comes to violence on women. So we put our resources behind it. We try to leverage the passion our fans have for our logo and our team to get behind it. We've had 8, 9, 10 different players step up and want to be involved and be the face of it, including Austin when we first launched this program. So it's continuing those efforts. When we realized there was a financial deficiency for Amend in the program 3 years ago, we made a $500,000 pledge. That was supposed to be a 5-year window. We knew when we made that pledge that we would just probably continue that. We have probably 75, 80 of our employees that are pretty involved in Amend. So we were asked earlier, how are we going to ramp that up even more? Well, being one of the original founders and one of the pillars of it, I don't know how much more we can get involved, but I do think there's a reason and a need to take where our focus is, and that's really working with boys to model better behavior, to ideally have those boys become men that never even think this way at all, or possibly now we launch forward with a program more geared at adults as well. So just take maybe men that didn't have the right modeling when they were a child and add to that as well. We have early on those discussions. What's really nice, I was really nervous, I won't lie to you, when I first reached out to Sharon Robertson and Shane Foster with Men and the YWCA about this is what happened with the incident, this is where we are, this is where the investigation goes, and it really just shows what a wonderful program they run, because they said, look, we're a resource for you, we're a resource for the team, and we're a resource for Austin. Let's work through the investigation, let's work through the process. When we get on the other side of it, then we'll figure out what other programs we need to build and bring to the table.
John?
David, I guess not really a whole lot of precedent with the NHL in terms of this kind of situation and length of suspension. Wondering your thoughts on the length. Did you expect it to be about this much? Did you think less? Is this appropriate? In your opinion, what are your thoughts?
Just exactly what Sean had said from the day one. That was the furthest thing from my mind. Just all the concern was just with Austin, Jen, and their baby, and whatever we could do to help improve their lives, their relationship, all those situations. So mean, no, I could care less about the suspension. It doesn't bother me one bit, and we support it.
Anything else? John?
Yeah, David, just I guess in terms of the hockey side of things, Austin was obviously kind of played a unique role for you guys as well, and kind of seemed to be coming into his own last year too. What are some ways that the team has to make up for his loss for for a third of the season here?
Well, the good news, at least we believe sitting here today, is that we really have a good depth at our forward position. We've brought almost everybody back other than Mike Fisher and Hartnell. We've signed Zach Ronaldo, who you could say plays a little bit like Austin Watson from a physical standpoint, but we've also have players that we traded for, and Ryan Hartman, that really didn't play a very high role in our team last year in a lot of situations that can be promoted. I think we've got some guys that would like some more ice time. So I think we're going to have good competition. I'm very thankful that we do have the depth that we have, and we will do our best to get by without Austin. And again, it's not the right thing necessarily to say, but it's an opportunity for somebody else, and there'd be another story of how this turns out too.
Yes. Was it taken into consideration you guys supported him, how the backlash, what the backlash publicly could be from that? Because it's obviously we doesn't know all the details like you guys do, but there can be a perception out there that perhaps you guys are supporting somebody who a lot of people don't think should be supported.
Yeah.
Well, of course. I mean, we take everything into consideration. We try to make our own decisions. We don't let everything drive us. When you looked over the past 2 months, sure, it was difficult not speaking out a little bit more or at all for us, for Austin, really for the league as well. But again, respect to the whole process, you wanted to let that run its whole history. But our focus really always was on, once we found out more information as we did throughout the investigation and the meetings with Austin and Jen, for us, it was a really easy decision to support the suspension, and most importantly, support Austin and Jen moving forward, knowing that if it was for 100 games or 4 games, we're going to be people criticizing too many or not enough, regardless of the length. As David said, we never really focused on the length of the suspension. It was always about, okay, what do we need to do to best support each other moving forward?
I guess what I'm asking is that you guys have built up a pretty good, fan base and experience here. Having that now associated with it, I guess was that ever a fear? Like you say, sticking with the person or sticking with a problem, or like just that association with supporting somebody who's doing what.
Well, I mean, Sean's trying to answer the question, and again, your question is something that we totally expected. But we're dealing with this as a family situation, and it's very complex, and there's lots of layers to the situation that I don't know about, you don't know about, and you have to respect the privacy of this whole situation. We do not take this lightly. I mean, it's a situation where we really are trying to make the people better, I guess. Is what we're trying to do. I mean, I guess it's take your own child. If something happened to your own child in this situation, what would you do? And I think you would do everything you could is to rehabilitate your child or make the situation whole. I'm hoping at the end of the day that maybe this is a blessing, that maybe this is what was meant to be for a lot of reasons, and there's going to be a good outcome here for Austin and Jen and their baby. It's a very difficult situation. It's a private situation, and we're the family that's going to do our best to try to take care of this.
Joe, you guys have both talked about supporting Austin and his family. Are you upset at Austin about this situation?
Well, of course. And when you look at what happened earlier this summer, it was not a good situation by anyone's admission, by anyone's view. No one involved with it, thinks differently than that. But again, when we looked throughout what occurred over the course of the summer, how open everyone was with us, and how people looked into the incident, it made you feel a little bit better of how we get to move forward from this.
What support is there going to be in place to help try to guarantee as much as possible that there's not a recurrence, that there is growth and rehabilitation, as you mentioned?
Well, the NHLPA, I mean, this is where we're always being honest here. It's a struggle because a lot of this is a private situation, but there's lots of resources that we have for our team. Like just running a normal team, like we have medical staff, we have a nutritionist, we have a team of doctors. NHLPA has resources, NHL has resources, and all I can tell you is that Austin and Jen are getting all the help that they need at this time.
Anything else? Thanks everybody again for coming. Appreciate your patience.